Hello and welcome to Mastering Microsoft Excel video series. In this video, we are going to talk about date functions. We are going to start from the basics in understanding how Excel reads your date and what are the formulas required for reporting purpose, what are the formulas you need for analysis purpose, what are the formulas you need for calculation purpose. So without much ado, let's get into the Excel screen and let's start exploring about these formulas. Okay, so there are a few basics which you have to understand before we go ahead and exploring the functionalities of the date. So first and foremost thing which you have to know, how Excel reads the date. What's the right way to type the date in a cell, in a formula, in a dialog box, wherever you're going to type. What's the right way to type it? Always look at the bottom right corner of your laptop or desktop, whatever you're using, whatever the format your computer is following, that is the format Excel will also understand it. So if you see in my system, it is today I'm recording the video, which is 5th of April. You can see the way it is presenting the date is 05/04/2025. So that means DD, YY. That's the way the computer is reading the dates. Now that's the same way my Excel will also understand the date. Now the question might come. So for example, if I type the date in the way my computer understands it. Let us say I'm sending this date to my friend who is residing in US. The way US people read the dates is month, day, and year. So what happens if I send this file to my friend? Let's say he's in Washington or some other place of US. When he opens this file from his computer, or not specific to country, let's say if his computer is following MMDDYY format, which is provided by his office. So when he opens this file in his computer, what happens is, the beautiful part is this date automatically transform itself in such a way it becomes 04/05/2025. So Excel has the capacity to transform the date according to the computers. So you don't have to do any specific settings, but this is something which you have to keep in mind. If somebody manually formatted the date, then it will not change when it reaches a different computer. So it's very important that unless otherwise you manually custom format a date, then it won't transform itself to the end user's format. But if you have typed it in the right way, your computer is reading it. And if the format here is shown as date, which you can see in the home tab under the number, now when it reaches another person's computer, it automatically changes its format to that person's computer format. So that is a huge advantage when I work between different continent people or different country people. Yeah. So that's one of the advantage you can enjoy. The second basic thing which you have to understand, how do I get the current date or today's date? Is it important for me to get this today's date? Absolutely yes. When you do aging calculations, you want to know how long a process has been performing, or how long a task has been going through, how long a person has been working with this, how long this particular invoice has been pending. You need to take the current date into consideration. So whenever you need current date, there are two ways to get it. One is through the keyboard shortcut, other one is through the formula. So the keyboard shortcut is control semicolon is the key which gets you the current date. Let's watch this. I'm going to press control and semicolon. I've got the current date. Now when I want to get it through a formula, the formula is equal to today open bracket close bracket. So this will also get me the current date. So I'm just putting it in such a way that you could get it. So today is the formula which you need to use it. To watch it, equal to today open bracket close bracket. When I hit enter, I get the same current date. Now the question is, what's the difference between these two dates? Because the output is exactly same. Understand that the output which you got through the formula is going to keep changing as and when your computer date changes. It's dynamic. Whereas the date which you got it through the keyboard shortcut is static, that will not change. Yeah. So whenever you're doing a calculation which is as on date, as of today, so those kind of calculations, it's always better to use today function. Example, when you want to calculate age of yours, then obviously it's going to keep changing every day. correct? So as of today, what's my age? As of tomorrow, what's my age? So, or shelf life of a product. So you need to use the today formulas. Yeah. Control semicolons, I would say, is a quick help, as in when you don't need a kind of a date which should keep changing, it should be a static value, then definitely you can go for the shortcut. All right. So those are the basics which you got to go through. Now let's get into the formulas and see how these formulas, what we're going to learn, is going to help you in the real time. So I'm moving to sheet 1. So the first requirement is we're going to learn about the formulas which will help us to do reportings quickly, yeah, to understand what's happening in the business. So you could see this data which I'm presenting to you right now has 4 different columns which carries the date. One is manufacture date, another one is order date, another one is delivery date, and payment date. Let's take a quick question here. So let's say I want to know how many orders are we receiving in the first 7 days of every month. Let me repeat it. If I want to know how many orders are we receiving in the first 7 days of every month. So that means if I am going to use a filter to get that, you could see I'm not dealing with just a year. I'm dealing with 3 different years of data. Ideally, if I do not know how to do this with the right functions, if I'm going to be a very basic level user, the way I would be approaching is expand each year like this and get into each month of each year, and then select only 1 to 7, deselect rest of the days for each month, and you can think about how tedious this process is going to be. Yeah, but the function which I want to take you through is going to make your life very simple. So let's look at that function, what it is. So ideally, any date, if you look at it, it is a combination of day, month, and year. So there are 3 components put together which creates a date. So let's extract the day out of this order date. So equal to day, open bracket, I'm going to select the first date in the order date. So close the braces and hit the enter. Now you could see the day component of the date has been extracted and given to me. So if I go here and double click at the bottom right corner, from all the dates of the order, I got the day component extracted and given to me separately in a column. So in this column, I will have a range of values which is from 1 to 31. What was our requirement? We need to get the first 7 days data of every month of every year. So look at the way we're going to deal this. So I'm going to go ahead and turn on the filter this time, and I'm going to go here and click this drop down, and here I can simply go and watch this. We have numbers from 1 to 31. All I have to choose is simply 1 to 7, or I can go to number filters and say less than 8 and click OK, and that's the first 7 days of transaction in all these 3 years. Yeah, so look at the way we got it, and look at the time we spent on getting it instead of going through the normal manual way of doing it. That's the power of the formula what you have learned right now. So using this day formula, I can look for first week of every month, last week of every month, and I can also look for like 15th of every month, 20th of every month. Such kind of calculations I can do much faster and easier. So like day, you do have functions like month. Equal to month, open bracket, select the first day of the order date, close the braces, hit the enter. Now you could see the month number out of the date has been extracted and given to you separately. This column is going to contain the numbers 1 to 12 ranging because January to December. Now you could filter for any specific month, specific quarter. For example, if I want to get the first quarter, then it's 1, 2, 3. But if let's say financial year quarter, I'm representing from India. So in India, financial year starts from April to March. So first quarter financial year, it's going to be 4, 5, 6. So that's all the time I have to spend to get my first quarter data, last quarter, second quarter, third quarter, or any specific month. Absolutely possible to get it. Example, if I want to know the 15th of September, then I can get it much faster because these components are separately available right now. Let's take the third function, equal to year, which is going to extract the year component out of the date, which will give you the flexibility to work on the year faster. So I can look for any specific year, the first 7 days of specific year, 15th of every month of the specific year, or 4th month of the specific year, a range of months for a specific year, all are possible. Day, month, year. These functions are quite easy to remember because what you're extracting from the date value is actually the function name itself. Now let's take the fourth formula. So now you guys have seen three formulas which has made you much more what I would say confident in handling requirements related to like day-wise reporting, week-wise reporting, quarterly reporting, monthly reporting, yearly reporting, financial year-wise reporting. All are possible right now because of these three guys now. So let's move to the fourth formula. Sometimes I've seen people when I take trainings, people will ask us, can I find out the transaction happened in the second day of every week? Second day of every week or the third day of every week. So when the question comes to me like this, the next question I usually put to the person is, how do you see the week? When is your week starting? Is it like Monday to Sunday or Sunday to Saturday? Now, if I'm taking the training for Middle East people, the way the week starts for them is quite different. So for certain regions, it's like Saturday to Thursday. For certain regions, it's like Saturday to Wednesday. Or certain regions, it keeps changing as per the continent you're working, country you're working, or the data you're managing, or for the clients you're working. So how do I work on that? So if you want to look for such thing, then you should use the formula equal to weekday and select the date, which is the first input of your formula, comma, then comes the choices for you, my friends. So you need to read through these choices and give the respective number so that it starts presenting you the day of the week. For example, if my day is starting from Monday to Sunday. So in India, that's how we see it. So the start of the week is actually ideally considered as Monday. So I would be going ahead and hitting the number 2 and closing the braces, hit the enter. So double click. So let's say if I want to know the second day of the week, all I have to do is just put a filter for the 2 and get it from this column. The only challenge here is I need to remember the number represents what. So 6 means suddenly I will not be able to get in my mind, okay, 6 means I have to count Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Then okay, it's a Saturday. So that is sometimes a challenge we get. In certain business, people would say that, Hari, this is okay, but if I could also get the day name, it will be better rather than these numbers. It's easy for me to filter rather than going based on numbers. Okay, so let's see what is that formula which simplifies our work. So the formula which can convert these dates into a text day names like Monday, Tuesday. If you want to do that, you can use the text formula for that. So equal to text. It's going to ask you which date you want me to put it. This date, that's the first input. And what format would you like to put it? Now, see, remember, I need the day names. So if I need the day names are text values. So I need to put it within the double quotes. So I need to put the letter D 4 times. Capital letter or small letter D, doesn't matter, but it has to be in double quotes. Ideally, text formula is basically what this formula would do is converts a format of a value to a specific text format, whatever you are asking it for. So the output of the text formula will be always a text. Remember that. So when you hit enter, now you could see it has given the day name for us. So day name has been brought. So remember that when I was counting what is 6, then I was counting like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Okay, 6 means Saturday. So that problem is now taken care for me. You can see here. So, okay, this is Monday, this is Saturday. That's quite easier. So you have the option of going by numbers. If you're not comfortable in that, you have an option of looking as a text as well. But remember, guys, why we typed 4Ds? Because if you type single D or 2D, it will still be presented to you as a day. Remember, the day component of the date will be presented to you. So 2D is also giving me the same answer. The only thing is single digits will be given with the prefixing zeros. But when I go for the third D, I don't get the numbers. I start getting the abbreviations of the day because the highest day number in a month is 31. We do not have a 3-digit day number. So it does not give you the day number. Instead, it gives you the abbreviated name. Because I need the full name, I went for 4Ds. Now remember, in the place of D, you can also use the letter M. So that will give you the month name as well. So you might ask me that, Hari, we already have a month formula which is giving you the month. So don't you think it is okay? Well, obviously it depends on the person who is working on the report. So some people would say that how 5 means I literally have to count. Okay, Jan, Feb, March, April, May. So I have to remember that 5 stands for May. So can I get it as a text value? So when the requirement comes like that, so what I would ideally go ahead, ask the person is, okay, if that's your requirement, why don't you put your date into a month text? So first input is a date, the second input we need the month name, complete name, so 4 times the letter M, close it, and there you got the month name. So the 4D 4M is something when you want to present them as a text rather than to see it as a number. There are times you need it as a number, there are times where you need it as a text. You decide it as per your requirement. But I have shown you both the choices. Now let's move forward. So these how many formulas we have seen? Day, month, and year. Then we have seen weekday. Then we have seen text. So 5 formulas. You have seen it. If you got these 5 formulas, trust me, you are capable of pulling any periodical reports easily without spending much time, like say more than 2-3 minutes. You can finish it within that span time and then give it to them. Yeah, provided the column contains proper dates, yeah, which is very important. All right, so let's talk about the next set of functions which are needed for analysis purpose or for tracking purpose. What are these functions are? Okay, so example, if somebody gives you a task and they ask you, hey, when are you likely to complete it? Then you are in a position to give them a deadline date. Example, if I'm billing a client for my training service, so if I want to know when is the date I will get my payment, so I need to know the deadline date when I would be receiving the payment. Okay, so that is one type of calculations where you need to know the deadline date. Sometimes people would also want to calculate the timeline taken for completing a task or a process. Example, let's take the same payment what we are discussing. Suppose let's say the client has released the payment from the date I've completed the training, but I want to know how many days these guys have taken, okay, to release the payment. So how many days means I have a choice here, how many calendar days or how many working days. So in business, there are possibilities that while I'm calculating, there is a possibility I can consider all the days in a month or all the days in a year. There are possibilities I would love to consider only the working days also, skipping the public holidays and the weekends. So we'd see how do you do such kind of calculations in Excel, what formulas can help you. First of all, when you want to do such calculations, what ideally you should have with you is the list of holidays for the year. Watch this. This is a kind of list you should have whatever the holidays for the particular years covered in your data. So in my data, the years we have covered is right from 2020 to 2024, but I've also 2023, but I've also taken a little more extra so that in future if I need it, I don't have to worry about it. This is already taken into consideration. So remember that you have to prepare the list of holidays. These are list of holidays, not weekends, public holidays like Christmas, New Year, Labor Day, okay, or May Day, whatever we call it. Just have those which is respective to your company. Have that, and then you should start working on these kind of functions. So let's go to sheet 1 and let's look at what is the requirement here. So watch this. I have an order date and I have a credit period. What is credit period? Is a time I give to the customer to make his payment. So I'm saying the customer can take 28 days from the order date to make his payment. So ideally, I want to know when that guy should have made the payment. Yeah. So, but I got the payment from the customer, but I don't know whether this guy has made it on time or delayed or made it earlier. So I want to check out that. But only if I have the expected payment date, I can compare those two and I can come to a conclusion. Correct. Now this is the actual payment date when the client has released the payment, but there is an expected payment date as per the agreement we have with the client. So I want to know what is the 28th day from this order date. Now 28th calendar day or 28th working day. So let's talk about how do you find out 28th calendar day. So for the convenience purpose, what I'm going to do, I'm going to hide these columns so that we will have a space to work on. So we will have a less distractions now. Okay, so here we go. So how do I get that calendar day? If I wanted for the calendar day, okay, from this day, so from this day, I want to know what's the 28th day. So you simply have to add them together. That's it. So it says the 28th day from 15th April is 13th May. So the first question should come to our mind is, hey, I am adding a number to a date and the result is a date. How come? Now let me show you how Excel reads the date. Remember, Excel always reads your date as numbers, my friend. So all we are trying to do is doing a simple arithmetic operation. The result of it is number plus number is number. But the way you're looking at it is the location where you're writing the formula has been formatted as a date, and that's why you're looking them the result as a date. So Excel treats your date as number. That's why when you add any days or minus any number from a date, the result is also a date. But behind the scene, what you do is number and number is what is gelling along, working along, calculating along to give you that result. So now when you want to calculate, when you want to add a calendar days to a date, it's a simple addition which you got to do. But understand here it is 28 working day means how will I do it? So if you want to add working days, then you should use the formula workday. But I have a choice here. There is one formula called workday and there is one formula called workday international. When do I have to pick up which one? So it all depends on what is the weekend of your company when you're calculating such calculations. See, let's say, for example, if your company's weekend is Saturday and Sunday, then it doesn't make a difference whether you go for Workday or Workday International. You can use any one. But if your company's weekend is different, let's say you guys are working on Saturdays, Sundays only off. Let's say if you guys are representing Middle East and you have your weekends on Friday and Saturday or Thursday, Friday. So if you have something like that or only Friday, then you need to go for Workday International. Yeah. So the smarter choice here, I would say, is always go for Workday International because Workday will always consider Saturday, Sunday as a weekend. It doesn't give you provision to change your weekend if you really want it. But Workday International gives you the choice of deciding your weekend. So the best choice is always to go for Workday International. Okay. So watch it. The third input of this formula is weekend. Whereas if you have gone for a simply Workday, there is no choice called week end, so there's no scope of customizing that part, and that's why I'm not preferring Workday, I'm preferring Workday International. So now let's go ahead and feed this formula. It's asking, hey, from which date you would love to add the days. I would like to add it from the order date, comma. The second input is asking how many working days you would love to add. So I want to add 28 working days, comma. Then it's asking what's your weekend. Like we fed the respective number in weekday formula, here also you should feed the right number based on your company's weekend. So let's say my company weekend is only on Sunday, then I should say 11. So it will start considering Saturdays as a working day. Okay, comma. The last input is holiday. So it is asking apart from Sunday, is there any other day which you want me to exclude in this calculation, which is obviously my public holidays. Do I have a list for it? Yes, absolutely. I told you in the beginning, it's just important to keep this kind of list. I'm going to go to the sheet when I have the list of holidays. It can be a different Excel also. You can have it absolutely. The best practice I recommend to the corporates when I do the training, always maintain a separate Excel for the holiday list, for the custom list. These are very important so that whenever your computer changes, you can always take it from that, or for any calculation, you can always access it from there. So I'm going to choose my holidays right from the first date. I'm going to press Control, Shift, and down arrows to go up to the last one. Because I'm going to use this formula across the rows in my data, I want to make sure these two cell references are constant, fixed, absolute cell reference, which we have seen in video number 4. How do you make relative reference to an absolute reference, or a normal cell to a fixed cell using the key F4. So I'm going to press F4 in my keyboard. So the dollar symbol is going to appear. So that means holiday list is fixed. Correct. For any transaction, my holidays are same. So I'm going to press the F4 to get the dollar sign, close the braces, hit the enter. That's my output. So look at the change, what we got in the earlier one and this one. It skipped the Sundays and it skipped the public holidays, and it gave me this is the date which you can expect the payment. Now what I can do, I can compare this one with the actual payment date, and I can see, okay, so I'm supposed to get the payment on 19th May, but this guy has made the payment by 25th April itself, well before on time. Okay, but watch this one. He's supposed to make it on 13th December, but he paid me on 6th January, which was a delayed payment. So that's why these formulas are very critical to know, so that you can do such kind of analysis which are delayed, which are on time, which are earlier than the expected date. Yeah. So the formula which we have seen right now, Workday International, will help you to get the deadline for a particular process. The minimum inputs which you should have is when did you started the task, how many days you want to complete the task, where is your public holiday list. If you have it, that is more than sufficient to get you the deadline date. Now, what's the next type of formula, or the next type of analysis is when you want to calculate how much time I took for completing a process, how many days I've taken for completing a process. Example, let's take here that I have a order date and I have a delivery date. Okay, or I have the payment date. So I want to calculate how many days this customer took to release the payment. Again, the question is, when I say how many days, am I talking about how many calendar days or how many working days? So let's go ahead and see how do I calculate the number of calendar days. So if you want to calculate the number of calendar days, the way you will be working is equal to the payment date minus the order date. So when I hit enter, so I'm going to get the answer. So you're ideally subtracting a number minus number. The way you have to do it, the highest minus the lowest, which will be the highest as per the business, the payment will be the highest one than the order, because after placing the order only the payment will be released. We are subtracting payment with the order. So this is number of calendar days to get it. But what if I want to calculate the number of working days has been taken to release the payment? Yeah. So watch it. How do I calculate number of working days alone? Again, to do such calculation, you need to have the list of public holidays, and you should be aware of what is the weekend followed in your organization. So the formula which I'm going to use here is network days. Again, just like your workday, we have a choice here, international, which will help us to customize the weekend. So we're going to go for network days international. Now look at the first input. It's asking what's your start date. So the start date is the order date, comma, what's your end date is the payment date, comma, then it's asking what's the weekend you follow. My weekend is Sunday only, so the number 11. And apart from Sunday, what are the holidays you want me to skip? So I go to the list of holidays which I already have it. I'm going to select them and make it constant and close the braces, hit the enter, and that is nothing but the number of working days took for releasing the payment. Yeah, so that's how you calculate the timeline took for completing a process, the number of days or number of working days. You decide your approach. Understand it? Yeah. So workday and network days are very, very powerful formula when working days comes into picture. You want to know the deadline considering only the working days. You want to know the timeline considering the working days. Then work days and network days will definitely help you out. Now let's move to the next type of formulas which you need to calculate the age analysis or specific requirements. Let's take an example. I'm moving to the next sheet. So you can see here in this sheet, I have a dealer contract start date. So we have a contract release for each dealer whom we are dealing with, and I have given when we have started the contract with that particular dealer. So now first I want to calculate age of that contract. Okay, now remember that whenever we want to calculate the age, ideally the way people does it is subtract the current date from the date you want to want to consider. For example, if you're calculating your own age, current date minus the date of birth, and then you get the number of days, then you divide by 365 when you want to calculate the number of years and all the stuff. But there is a specific formula in Excel to take care of these kind of calculation. But this formula is pretty interesting because this formula is not available in the list of Excel functions because this is a user defined function. So you need to remember the way you need to use this formula. So the formula which we're going to use for calculating the age is called DATEDIF. Okay, so it's a very important that you call this in a right way. It's DATEDIF. It's not dated if. DATEDIF, because you're going to calculate the difference between two dates, the current date with the date of birth, or current date with the reference date. The reference date can be anything: date of joining, date of birth, or it can be a contract date or date of manufacturer, whatever it is. Okay, so DATEDIF. What is this inputs I have to feed for this? The first input is the start date, the second input is the end date, and the third input you have a choice. You can decide how you want to see the difference. Based on that, you can feed the respective input or the next respective argument, we say. So watch it. When you want to get the difference in terms of years, we would be using the letter Y. When you want to get it in months, it is M. When you want to get it in days, it is D. When you want to consider the months after the year's completion, it is YM. When you want to consider the days after the month's completion, it is MD. So why am I typing this format? Why can't I can go ahead directly write this formula? Watch it. This formula will never come in the list, and that's the reason why we are first looking at the way you have to write the formula, then we are going to write the formula after that. So this is the way we have to write the formula. So let's go ahead and write this formula right now to understand this better. So probably what I can do is I can put this on top of this report, so you guys will have it. So let's put this on the top and let's start writing this now. Equal to DATEDIF, and the first input is when the contract was issued to the dealer, comma, what's the end date? From that date till the current date I want to calculate. So how do I get the current date, which we have already seen using the today formula? Comma, how do I want to see the difference in terms of years or months? I want to see it in terms of years, so I'm going to use the letter Y. So when I close the braces, here we go, we get the age of the contract in terms of number of years completed for the contract. The first input is from which date, the second input is up to which date you want to calculate, and final input is how do you want to see the difference. Now let's see this in terms of month. So DATEDIF again, starting date of the contract, from that till the current date, comma, I want to see it in terms of number of months. Are we missing anything? Yeah, here, sorry, instead of comma typed wrongly the dot. So it shows me overall it is 22 months. Yeah, 22 months. All right, so it is overall months what we are looking at, 22 months. So if I want to see it in days, let's go ahead and key in DATEDIF, starting date, from that date till the current date, and I want to see it in total number of days. So when it comes to age, it's always calendar days. We are not going to consider working days in case of that. So it gives you the total number of days right now. I will also show you what is that YM. There was an input called YM, right? So let's see that. DATEDIF, comma, today within the codes YM. So what is this YM is giving you is excluding the years completed, how many more months we have completed. So watch this output is 10. So watch the age in number of years, 1 year, 10 months. That is what actually 22 months. So 12 months plus 10 months, 22. So overall is 22 months. If you don't want to see it like this, you want to know after 1 year completion, how many more months it has completed. That's where you use the YM. Okay, months completed after the year's completion. That's what we are looking at here, which is YM. Okay, so similarly, how many days completed after the month's completion? So if I want to get that, then I'll be using MD. So DATEDIF, again, I'm going to go ahead and select my dealer start date, comma, today, comma, within the codes MD, and that's going to give me, okay, So let's see where the issue is. It's a closing braces. Okay, it gives me 7 days, 9 days. You can see it. So that means you can see here 1 year, 10 month and 7 days. That's what we are looking at. 4 years, 6 months and 9 days. So after 6 months, we have completed 9 more days. That's what is presented when you use MD. Days completed after the month's completion. So if you ask me, ideally the normal flow how the people would write these formulas is YM, MD. That's how they write it. They don't write M and D unless otherwise there's a requirement to calculate only in terms of months. Yeah. Okay. So let's go to the next type of calculation. So I have the tenure in months. Okay. So let's calculate something interesting here. Contract expiry date. See, they've given you the tenure for the contract. They're saying 72 months is the tenure for the contract. You guys have learned how to add days. You guys have learned how to add working days, but we haven't talked about how to add months or how to add years. So if you want to add months or years, how do you do that in Excel? So when you want to add months or years, so in this case, I want to add 72 months to the dealer contract start date because the contract is 72 months. Let me hide these columns so that we avoid the distractions. So you focus on what we are talking about. So we want to add 72 months to this data. So whenever you want to add months or years, the formula you'll be using is EDATE, my friend. It takes only two input. The first input is which date you want to add the months and how many months you want to add it. Remember, this is the same formula used for adding years also. When you're trying to add years, you have to feed the years in terms of months. Suppose if I want to add 5 months, I have to feed it as 60. If I want to add 3 months, then I have to feed it as 36. Then it depends on how you're using this formula. And the next interesting input is the months what you're feeding here. It can be a positive value which takes you forward. If you put a negative value, which takes you backward. So it depends on whether you would love to move forward in the period or backward in the period. That is based on the sign of the value what you feed inside. But whenever you use the formula, the output of the EDATE formula will never come as a normal date. It's the user responsibility to format the value into a date. So how do I format this value? Just select the column where I'm going to write these formulas. I go to my home tab, number group, click this drop down. I'm going to choose short date and that's the date. So all I have done right now, I've just added the months to the date. That's how you add months or years to a date to calculate the deadline date. Yeah. But watch the last input of the video where we are coming to the end of the video as well. So you know the contract expiry date, but you want to know how many months left for it. How many months left for this contract to cease. So when your requirement comes like that, again, the help is going to come from the user defined function, which you already learned, which is DATEDIF. So I could use the DATEDIF in a smarter way to handle it. Now I got my future date, not an older date. So whenever you're dealing with future date, what happens is today will come in the beginning. See, when you use DATEDIF to calculate the age, that means you're talking about days completed, years completed, months completed. But when you want to know years left, months left, days left, then the today component will come as a first one. Then your actual date will come as a second component, comma, within the codes. I'm going to use the letter by which I want to see it. I want to see in terms of months, I'm using the letter M. So remember that when you're dealing with future date, today will come in the beginning. When the future date will come into picture is when you're calculating the months left, days left, years left. But whereas today will come as a second input when you're calculating months completed, days completed, years completed. So the smarter way of using the formula will give you the right answer. So understanding the formula conceptually is very important. So now what it tells me that this contract still has 49 months to expire. But watch, in certain places I'm getting error. What is the understanding I have to get? That these contracts are already expired. These contracts are already expired. That's why I'm getting errors. Rest is all showing me how many months still I've got. Yeah. All right, that is all we want to cover in this video. So let me quickly wrap it up what we have, or recall what we have seen so far. You have understood the basics, how the Excel reads the date. Then you have seen formulas like day, month, year, weekday, text, which will help you to prepare reports, periodical reports like weekly, monthly, quarterly, financial year wise, or any specific day wise, or any specific weekday wise. Then you learned Workday and Network Day. When you want to calculate a deadline date, it is Workday. When you want to find out the timeline, how much time it took for, how many days it took for completing a process, it is Network Day. The most important input which you need to keep in place when you're going to use Network Day or Workday, you need to prepare the list of public holidays for the years covered in your data. Then the last one, what you learned, then the last one is your DATEDIF formula, which is meant for age calculations. Then you learned about EDATE, which is meant for adding months or years to a date. Yeah. So the link for this file would be available for you in the description section. You can download and you can practice. And the link for the shortcut keys will also be available for you to download and check out the shortcut keys I've used in this video. Do practice, because practice will always gives you the confidence. Watch the video, work along with it. You will also see what are the formulas you have learned from this video. Okay, so quiz is also there. Please attend the quiz, so that confirms that your understanding is also perfect. Trust me, if you get good understanding of these formulas, you can handle any date related requirements in your company. We will meet again with another interesting input in the next video. Until then, signing off, Hariharan.